Ask a professional painter, not a Home Depot floor associate. Not the guy on the packaging with the roller and the smile. Ask a working painter who buys product by the 5-gallon bucket, whose livelihood depends on coverage, adhesion, and durability. Ask them which brand they trust. They won't say whatever was on sale. They'll tell you something that sounds strange at first. Half the options on that wall don't actually compete with each other. They're the same company. Sometimes the same formula, just different labels, different price points, and different shelf positions, designed to make you feel like you're comparison shopping. That's what we're unpacking today. Walk into any major home improvement store in America. A Lowe's, a Home Depot, an Ace Hardware, and you're looking at a wall of paint cans that appears to offer genuine competition. Dutch Boy over here, Valspar over there, Olympic on the bottom shelf, Glidden on the end cap. You see different logos, different colors, different marketing claims. Maximum coverage, one coat guarantee. Paint plus primer in one. What you're actually looking at is a carefully constructed illusion of choice engineered by two companies, Sherwin-Williams and PPG Industries, who together control somewhere between 40 and 50% of the entire U.S. architectural paint market. And the strategy isn't accidental. It's been built over decades through acquisitions, price tiering, and a distribution game that ensures no matter which can you reach for, there's a very good chance you're handing money to the same corporate parent. Here's what that actually costs you, and what professionals already know. The acquisition machine, how two companies bought the illusion of choice. Let's start with the numbers, because this story is built on acquisitions. Sherwin-Williams, founded in 1866, currently the largest paint company in North America, has not grown by inventing better paint. It has grown by buying its competitors and keeping their brand names intact. In 2017, Sherwin-Williams acquired Valspar Corporation for approximately $11.3 billion. Valspar wasn't some small regional player. Valspar already owned Dutch Boy. It owned Cabot Stain. It owned Minwax, Wood Finish. It owned the Purdy Brush brand. One $11.3 billion transaction, and Sherwin-Williams absorbed an entire shelf section of products that consumers believed were independent alternatives. Before that acquisition, Valspar-branded paint was sold at Lowe's as a competitor to the Sherwin-Williams products at the Sherwin-Williams stores down the street. After the acquisition, the same consumer is now buying from the same parent company in both locations, and has no reliable way to know this from the packaging. PPG Industries, the other half of this duopoly, has run an identical playbook. PPG owns Glidden, which it acquired from ICI Paints in 2012 for $1.05 billion. It owns Pittsburgh Paints, Manor Hall, Flood, and Lucite. The company operates in more than 70 countries and generated roughly $18.2 billion in revenue in 2023. Their architectural coatings division, the stuff on your walls, is a major contributor. The engineering crime here isn't that these companies acquired competitors. Consolidation is legal. The crime is what happens after the acquisition. The brand is kept alive, the packaging is kept distinct, and the consumer is kept in the dark. You walk down the paint aisle believing you are choosing between 5 or 6 competing products. You are choosing between 5 or 6 price tiers operated by two companies. The same paint in different clothes. Here's where it gets specific. A professional painter I spoke with described it plainly. The base chemistry doesn't change that much between a mid-range Valspar and a Sherwin-Williams Emerald. What changes is the titanium dioxide loading, the resin quality, and the colorant system. But the gap between their second-tier product and their premium product is often much smaller than the price gap suggests. Let's look at current pricing. A gallon of Dutch Boy interior latex, a Sherwin-Williams brand, sold primarily at Lowe's, retails for roughly $28 to $35 per gallon, depending on the finish. A gallon of Valspar Signature, also a Sherwin-Williams brand, also sold at Lowe's, runs $38 to $48 per gallon. Sherwin-Williams Emerald, the premium tier, hits $89 to $94 per gallon as of 2024. The price delta between the entry-level and premium is approximately $55 to $60 per gallon. For a typical interior room requiring 2 gallons, that's $110 to $120 in premium pricing. For a full house repaint, say 20 gallons, you're looking at a $1,100 to $1,200 premium over the entry-level product from the same corporate parent. Is Emerald worth that? For certain applications, high-traffic areas, scrubbability, blocking stains, self-priming on textured surfaces, professional painters say the premium products do perform better. The titanium dioxide content is genuinely higher in premium products. The resin chemistry is more durable. The claims aren't entirely fabricated. But here's what the brand strategy is actually designed to prevent you from making that comparison with full information. When Dutch Boy and Valspar and Emerald appear to be independent brands, you're less likely to ask, wait, are these from the same company? You're more likely to use the price tier as a proxy for quality across what you believe are competing manufacturers. That's the mechanism. The tiered pricing is designed to capture margin from consumers who don't know the backstory. The retail exclusivity play. There's a third layer to this that professionals understand and consumers almost never think about. Sherwin-Williams doesn't just sell through its 4,900 plus owned retail stores. It supplies product to Lowe's, but under the Valspar and Dutch Boy brand names, not the Sherwin-Williams name. This is deliberate. Sherwin-Williams owned stores can then position Sherwin-Williams as the premium professional choice, implying that what's at Lowe's is consumer grade. Meanwhile, both channels are generating revenue for the same parent company. PPG does the same thing. Glidden is the value brand at Home Depot. Olympic is the mid. PPG's professional-grade products are sold through dedicated professional channels. The consumer walking into Home Depot sees what looks like a choice between competing value brands. What they're actually navigating is a single company's internal segmentation strategy. The engineering crime here, and this is not accidental, is that the retail channel itself becomes a quality signal. I got my paint from the Sherwin-Williams store sounds more legitimate than I got Valspar from Lowe's. Even though the parent company is the same, the store brand becomes the premium signal, the paint plus primer scam. Let's talk about a specific product claim that has generated significant consumer frustration and at least some regulatory scrutiny. The paint and primer in one category. Beginning roughly around 2009 to 2011, every major paint brand rolled out a paint and primer in one product line. The marketing premise was that you no longer needed a separate primer coat, saving consumers time, material cost, and labor. At a retail price $15 to $25 per gallon higher than standard paint, this represented a significant margin opportunity. The problem which professional painters identified almost immediately is that paint and primer in one is largely a marketing term, not a technical standard. Paint manufacturers are not required to demonstrate that their product performs the priming function. They simply call it that. Sherwin-Williams Emerald paint and primer line retails for around $90 a gallon. A professional painter will tell you, on a properly prepared surface that has been previously painted. Yes, a high-quality paint with strong hide and adhesion can often skip a separate primer coat on bare drywall, raw wood, previously unpainted masonry, or surfaces with stains. You are going to need a primer. The paint and primer in one claim fails in precisely the use cases where consumers most need priming: new construction, repairs, and repaint situations involving stained or dark surfaces. The result? Consumers skip the primer, apply to coats of premium paint and primer product, get inadequate coverage or bleed through, and either repurchase additional gallons or call in a professional. The $90 per gallon premium product ends up requiring the same number of coats as the $35 paint it was supposed to replace, and, in many cases, requires a separate primer anyway. Class action lawsuits have targeted these claims. In 2013 and 2014, multiple suits were filed against major paint manufacturers over misleading one-coat and paint and primer marketing. The settlements were modest, typically resulting in labeling changes rather than refunds. And the marketing language continues. Now, somewhat more carefully worded. The financial impact on a typical consumer undertaking a full room repaint using premium paint and primer. Product versus a budget paint plus a $20 dedicated primer. Often zero difference in outcome, and a $30 to $50 difference in cost per gallon. If this changed how you think about the paint aisle, subscribe, because this is what we do here. Every week, we pull apart the brand strategies and pricing games that keep you spending more than you should. Next video, we're going inside the primer category itself, and why the $8 store brand primer at Ace Hardware regularly outperforms the $25 name brand version in independent adhesion tests. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss it.